Oh, you know, console fanboy tears. They've never tasted so good. A most delicious nectar. Just one more. Oh, the sad sobbing tears of people who defend their piece of plastic with such loyalty. It fuels me on this great Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about a Naughty Dog leak. It seems to be a curse with them, and especially The Last of Us series, as The Last of Us Part 2 leaked in its entirety ahead of its release, and now the same is happening with The Last of Us Part 1 Remake. And it is a spicy topic at that. Normally, I'm very conservative when talking about PlayStation now. A lot of people think it's because of fanboyism. It's really because I know now when I throw my hat in the ring that most people try to defuse any criticism I throw towards PlayStation as just a guy who's very pro Xbox. So I try to be selective when I talk about them so that when I do speak about them, there's more impact there. But I'm sure people will miss that point anyway. So with that, we're going to talk about these Last of Us Part 1 Remake leaks because, oh man, I don't know if I'm a prophet, but I feel like I saw this one coming from a mile away, but in a sense, it's worse than I expected. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into the latest and greatest in video games, you are in the right place. We're talking about it all. Consider subscribing. So, the way this all went down was Nick Baker of Xbox Era posted some gameplay clips, 3 to be specific. Now, I'm not going to show you those clips because I don't want to have this taken down, but if I'm showing you The Last of Us 1 remastered on PlayStation 4, and you're pretty much watching the same exact footage. That's how close the comparisons were. Without a doubt, you'll notice that the PS5 version does look better, but it was not significant enough to call it a remake. And the biggest problem I noticed right away was this, the gameplay. PlayStation has claimed that this is going to be, their words, not mine, their words, total overhaul of the gameplay. Complete overhaul. And even things from The Last of Us Part 2, like the dodge, the dive mechanic, those things, not there. Not there. It is literally The Last of Us 1, which in a sense is fine because The Last of Us 1, I think, is a masterpiece. And I don't know if it needed a, I put this in quotes, remake in the first place. I was very much in the mindset of, we don't need to try to improve anything here. Like, it is absolutely as fine as it was back in 2013 as it is now. Like, I don't think we need to remake this. And I guess PlayStation and Naughty Dog agreed because they pretty much left the same product there. It is top to bottom looking like the same game. Now, some of the footage that came through Xbox Era, unfortunately, was very washed out. This is something I have experienced in the past with capture software. It has something to do with the way that the HDMI is synchronizing with your Elgato, and so the color that you are seeing in your recording is much worse than what you're seeing on your television screen. So for those who are worried about also the desaturation and saying, hey, this actually looks worse than The Last of Us Remastered, I'm not going to put a lot of stock into that concern yet as someone who has had that interaction on a professional level many times, and I've put reviews out there where games do look honestly considerably worse than they do on the television screen until Elgato really progressed their recording technology, and that became a thing of the past. But this is something that I do want to make people aware of, that the desaturation concerns, I'm not going to say don't worry because everything else I feel seems concerning, but I would say don't put too much stock into that. Where I would say really submit your concerns, again, is the claim of a total overhaul of gameplay and not getting just that. Now, I mentioned before all of this, I'm relatively unsurprised here, right? Why? I don't hate PlayStation, but we're talking about the company now that is charging you $10 to upgrade your game while Smart Delivery exists. And Smart Delivery was one of the most laughed out of the room features for the Xbox Series X leading into the console generation. Guilty as charged, by the way. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Smart Delivery, just putting a name on next-gen upgrades. Then you saw how complicated it was for PlayStation. And then you saw how they're making fans pay for that stuff. And to me, when I see a console manufacturer nickel and diming their own fan base on their most prestigious products, I don't know. I can't say I'm surprised that they're going to take it one step further and say, we're going to resell them The Last of Us again. You know, we're recording this brand new TV show. It just reeks of marketing push. This is the time to release something for The Last of Us. And so, yeah, putting pretty much the remaster on PlayStation 5 would do the trick. I just think that we're starting to really stretch the term of what a remaster and a remake really is. And I mean this in a sense that it's getting twisted up all over the place. Like, you look at Final Fantasy VII Remake and you think, oh, it's a traditional remake of the original game. And it's like, oh no, it's actually meaning something much more different. I don't want to spoil what, once you beat the game. And then there's, we'll say, Destroy All Humans Remake, the first one, where this one comes out and it has mechanics from the second game brought to the first game, something that, I don't know, The Last of Us might be considering doing. We'll see. Obviously, this gameplay is not final, but I think that would make a lot of sense. But you see that seems like a remake. It's like, okay, this looks better than the PS2 counterpart. It has mechanics from the second game. It has some hidden content that's been restored. Okay, remake. Then there's remasters like Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. It's like, this is the same exact game. It's just been up-resed. We cleaned up a couple of things here, quality of life enhancements, and boom, it's literally the same game. And it feels like PlayStation is in that category of remaster, which I think fans would be happy to pay for. But the vibe I'm getting from what I saw and what I'm feeling is they want to charge you $70. And if they want to charge you $70, they got to justify it. A remaster is not going to go for $70. I guess maybe PlayStation could get away with it, but a remake would get them right there. I think that's the whole idea, to have a very strong holiday window. And I think, again, what we're seeing more and more and more, and it's incredibly frustrating, is sort of the kowtowing heavily to shareholders, to investors, on a level of like, okay, we need to have a dominant holiday window, right? So now you've got your Last of Us remake in September. You've got God of War in the heart of the holiday season, the Black Friday sales, all that good stuff there. People are spending money, Christmas sales, all that stuff, right? PlayStation's set to dominate this holiday window, but they got to be careful, because now they're starting to trip up over one of their most prestigious series. That's what's so sad about this, is I don't want to dislike The Last of Us ever. I was not a fan of The Last of Us Part 2, and the conversation around that game was so toxic that I chose not to review it. I had the opportunity to. I had great skits in mind, golfing ones at that, and I thought, you know what? It ain't worth it. So I stayed out of that conversation and only reported on the controversy. But when I played it, I wasn't crazy about it. I thought it was a good gameplay experience, but the story to me was, no, it did not resonate. I don't need to go deeper than that. Whereas The Last of Us 1, masterpiece. The GOAT, fire, oh my god, it's so good. So I don't want this series to get smeared, but it feels like they're sort of spinning their wheels a bit, because we're getting The Last of Us 1 remake. We had The Last of Us 1 remaster. But it's starting to feel like, you know, they're spinning their tires a bit on The Last of Us, right? We have The Last of Us 1 remake, which is just like the remaster, and then the show, which covers the events of the first game. And it's like, this series could expand and go so broad, and I'm glad they're almost keeping the focus narrow to some extent. But why are we making, I put this in quotes, new things that aren't really new things within a franchise that could be expanded upon? Maybe that's where the new multiplayer game that's coming out for The Last of Us, that understandably has become now apparently Naughty Dog's biggest game yet, and that would make sense since it was supposed to be a multiplayer expansion for The Last of Us Part 2, and they're like, it's actually a full game, and it's our biggest game yet. It kind of makes sense with how long it's taken that would be the case. That means they'll probably be selling that too. So, you know, I feel like this is sort of the double-edged sword with PlayStation right now, is they have to monetize everything, and that's where Game Pass, I feel, becomes very oppressive, where Xbox is putting their big exclusives when they come out. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself here. When they come out, they're putting their big exclusives day one on the service, whereas PlayStation has created this sort of mindset of the allure of premium. And I say the allure because I speak of Nintendo the same way. The allure of, yes, you could get your games over on Game Pass, but if you pay $70 for us, you're going to get a high-quality AAA experience. And, you know, in a sense, that's true, right? I look at something like Halo Infinite, which I thought was really good, but obviously the post-launch support has been really bad. And I look at something like Ghost of Tsushima, which kind of overhauled the Ubisoft open world design, but was still a high-quality open world video game. Yeah, I think in a manner of speaking, they're kind of leagues apart. Granted, completely different games, but I understand the quality and the premium allure of PlayStation. But I think as Xbox starts to hopefully hit harder and deliver things like Starfield, that premium allure that they've crafted will start to fade. and the conversation's going to change. And we're seeing signs of it like right here, right now, where fans are willing to pay $70 for pretty much any PlayStation exclusive right now. Same thing with Nintendo. But when they're trying to clearly take advantage of it, that's where now they're going to create a very awkward situation for themselves months down the line when Xbox starts delivering. And they got to be careful. I know a lot of people are going to think, oh, it's an overreaction. It's just a stupid remake. Don't buy it. But I think these are the building blocks that lead to an explosion later down the line. And it will be a restless period, perhaps. But overall, sad to see another leak for this series. But I think it's good because at the end of the day, imagine if this didn't leak and people bought it. I always found it suspicious that when this game was revealed, we saw cutscenes. It's like the cutscenes in the PS3 version still, I think, look great. You know, granted, that's a for its time kind of moment, but even in the PS4 remaster, they look phenomenal. And yes, there are differences in the PS5 version. You can see that. But the fact that they didn't lead off with gameplay when they totally overhauled the gameplay, and they're saying this is coming out in September, and well, it's about to be August. And we still haven't really seen full-on gameplay, and they'll show it because a lot of anticipation is built up for some type of September or maybe presumably now August state of play event, PlayStation Showcase, something along those lines. So they're going to show it, but I always found it strange that for a game that's been remastered, has been out in the wild, they didn't show any gameplay for it. So that's where my alarm started to sound off. Also, I don't know, my alarm went off because the game looks really damn good. It plays really damn good. In the first place, didn't need to be remade. So this was to me just a bad decision from the start. Ever since the game leaked and we had heard not just the, of course, leak before the Summer Games Fest, but I'm talking about the leak when Jeff Grubb had reported, like, yeah, they're remaking The Last of Us Part 1. I was like, wait, remaking? What do you mean? Like, please don't touch anything. And, well, they took our feedback. They didn't touch anything. So that's all I got to say about this leak. I find it extremely disappointing, but also equally unsurprising. And I'm curious to see where all of you stand. So please do fire away. I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts. And with that, take great care of yourselves. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons and all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.